War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you just spending a few minutes of your time with us just to hang out and talk about what we love about Auburn. On this live stream, our main topic is going to be probably not the most fun one in the world, but it's one that we do need to do to kind of start wrapping up the 2021 Auburn football season. We're going to be talking about breakdown and grades for Auburn football versus Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. Yes, it was a week ago almost a week ago this time. It's been the holidays. It's been a little bit crazy. We're just now able to get to it. So we need to get this thing on the books to say that we did it. Like I said, it's probably not going to be all that fun to do, but I think we can have fun together because when we're together, it's always fun. So thank you guys for joining this live stream tonight. A couple things as you come into the live stream, please do help us out by smashing that like button if you do enjoy this type of content. And we welcome those of you that are watching on Facebook and Twitter. Everybody can do this as well. Retweets, likes, shares, all that good stuff. Share it into a Facebook group. Let's invite some people to be in part of our little family within the Auburn family on this stream tonight. So do all those things. You can also post in the chat right now where you're watching from, city, state, international, all that good stuff with a War Eagle. Want to know who is hanging out with me, who is watching, and who's having some fun here tonight with us on this stream. We will tonight, I have the headphones on, be taking calls, but only from Booster Club members and our E2C Network contributors, those people that you hear on our podcast, those people that you sometimes hear appear on the show with me. But those will be the main ones. And then our Booster Club members have access to the exclusive link. They can call in if they would like to tonight and offer up their thoughts on what we're talking about. So stay tuned for another night when we have open mic night, which is usually a little crazy, but it's always fun. So that's what is on the agenda for tonight on this live stream. I don't have Austin with me tonight. And you guys know throughout this season, we've been doing a lot of these with Austin. Was unable to get in touch with him in time. Mostly that's my fault. Should have given him more of a heads up. But if he somehow pops in, he's obviously always welcome. But we'll finish out this last game without him. And I think we'll still come back and do a breakdown grades for the whole season. And I will try to get him scheduled for that because I know that you have been entertained by our interactions together, I guess is what you would call it. Also, a quick little bit of housekeeping. Some things that have been changing. A couple of live streams ago, you noticed I've been toying with lighting. New little lighting situation there. You might even notice, and I feel like it looks different. There's a new webcam that I'm using. Let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, does it look cleaner, crisper, all that kind of stuff. Always trying to make things a little bit better for you here on this channel. All right, let's see who's here. We got Carrie Yang also in the chat. Dusty from our Booster Club members, also a channel member. Thank you, sir. Thomas Manfill. We got Linda Bird, a Booster Club member from Lake Martin. I normally would like to be at Lake Martin, but I can imagine tonight it is freezing out there. It's cold in the southeast, but when you're sitting out on water, I feel like it gets even colder. And I know the water's like receded and all that kind of stuff right now, but it's probably not one of those nights that you want to be out at Lake Martin. Let's be honest. Devin says she's here and she wants to put the thing to bed. Yeah, we're still going to discuss a little bit about it. You know, we've kind of already started making videos on this channel about the 2022 season, recruits and stuff for that. We're going to be getting into more and more of that, but there are a few more videos and live streams that we want to do to kind of finally put this thing to bed. This is one of them, and we have to get this thing done. Let's see here. Dusty heard your Buck's gonna draft TJ. Heard a rumor that Derek Mason is going to Notre Dame. Well, you know what rumors do? They sometimes show that there's a little bit of fire somewhere, but to what degree is the question. I haven't heard it that myself. I've been getting back from traveling, so I have not been as plugged in as I normally would be to certain aspects of the rumor mills and information and things like that. Hopefully, we'll be getting back into tune with that here over the next couple of days. But I'm not hearing any of that, but everybody's got a rumor. You know, the biggest rumor now is that Caleb Williams, I think his name is, out of Oklahoma, is going to be considering Auburn as a transfer site for where he wants to play quarterback for the next couple of years. But we'll see. Land of the Snobs, Neil. Yes, here in East Cobb, we get called the East Cobb Snobs. You do like the video quality, great. Like exponentially better, somewhat better, kind of better. Always trying to toy with things here to make it a little bit better. And I think we'll also kind of with this new lighting structure that I know these are some boring things, but maybe some of y'all care about this. This new lighting structure I have, I can kind of situate this camera a little bit better. Still toying with all these little things, so just bear with me. It is freezing and beautiful out there. Well, you know, there's some beautiful things about the cold, just not how it feels, right? It's doesn't feel great out there right now. Kind of wish this had been here like during Christmas. I'm one of those weird ones that likes cold weather during Christmas. And it just was nice and warm, which you can't really complain about. But it just didn't feel like Christmas on Christmas Day. Big Simps in the house, War Eagle, sir. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Quick little thing, because I just saw it over here in the corner. As you know, our slogan here, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Obviously, and we say we're heavy on the sports here, we're always going to do that type of stuff. But one of the things I want to give you guys different types of Auburn related content. One of the things I'm going to be doing in a video coming up very soon is I got an interesting, we'll call it a game that's Auburn related. And I'm going to do a little unboxing video for you guys. You know, some of those things are popular here on YouTube. So we're going to give one of those a whirl. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much. I'm glad that y'all are enjoying the new video quality on here. Hope it maintains and hope it works well with the system that I have built right here. Pelham, WT Gardner in the house. Good to see you. Thanks. Thank you guys so much. Much more crisp. Well, that means that you guys can now see my receding hairline even more clear now. That was one of the good things about that. And now there's nowhere for me to hide. Okay. I do have a little bit more housekeeping stuff for you all that I want to discuss, but we'll wait a little bit into the live stream to talk about. Again, Booster Club members, you guys have the exclusive link to call in and to talk to me if you'd like to tonight. So please take advantage of that if you can. And our E2C Network channel contributors and podcast contributors can call in if they choose to do so as well. Our boys returning is huge. Yes, I did a video about that today, about who all so far, and I think we've gotten the big ones out of the way, who we're going to decide to leave or go. Those big ones on the defensive side is really what it's going to be benefiting. John Samuel Shanker deciding to come back is huge. A lot of good things. I would, well, that sounds a little, I was going to say one comment, but that's probably more of a depressing comment. Anyway, that's not important. Here I am trying to like run things through my head right now. Didn't the bowl game point out that we need a better quarterback? You know, it's a great question, and we're going to use that comment, WT Gardner, to get into our breakdown and grades. We'll start with quarterback. So I would like you all now, if you can, to grade the quarterback play for the Auburn versus Houston game in the Birmingham Bowl. And I'm pulling up my stats right here over to the side so we can take a look at a couple of those. I want to stress this again. And I hope you all kind of at least will consider this. I think most of us who are here on this channel are pretty reasonable people and understand that we shouldn't just be like degrading each other and all that kind of stuff. But it also means we need to be honest about things that happened in this game. And at any point, TJ Finley should not be blamed or shouldn't really have hardcore long-term decisions made about him based on what he was thrown into. He was given a team that was already spiraling, that was already having major issues, and then had further injury issues and had to make something out of nothing. And he kind of did that in the Georgia State game. And now he was given an opportunity over the last 3 games of the season to kind of show if he could do some things. You know, out of the 3, I didn't see a lot that I wasn't expecting. So whether that be good things or bad things, he kind of did exactly what I was anticipating a backup quarterback to do. That doesn't mean it's such a bad thing. I felt very comfortable with him as the backup quarterback, that we didn't drop off a ton. But when you look at this game, 19 of 37 for TJ Finley, 227 yards and 1 touchdown. When you try to grade this game out, it doesn't really look good for him. I think the yardage kind of hides a little bit of the inaccuracies when you really break it down and look at 19 of 37. That kind of shows that there was some issues at quarterback. If I was thinking about this today, talking to somebody, and I said, it's really the difference between TJ and Bo is there's no wow factor, and that we've seen yet outside of size and measurables. Bo had to make the wow factor because he was being chased every time, and he was able to do that. His athleticism came out and his ability to make plays on the run. TJ, whether it was not being given the opportunity to or just choosing not to handle it that way, didn't really give me a lot of the wow factor. So it's kind of that roller coaster ride you've been with Bo on this season, where everybody could probably all agree he had a bad game, but then he'd do something amazing. It's kind of like, oh, we're back and forth. With TJ, it's kind of been running steadily, maybe a little bit of an uptick, but then it kind of takes a downtick, and it's never really a roller coaster ride. Let's see what you guys are saying though. D from Neil White, C- right there. You got us all three waiting on some hockey stuff. Hey, listen, it'll come. Just give it some time. Kobe announced that he's out and took a shot at Harsin. Well, things break about the time that we go live these days, so I'm not shocked at that. I am shocked at that, and that means that I'm going to have to go back and edit something out of our latest podcast that'll be dropping tomorrow, if that's true. So let me go look at that before we say if that's official or not. I think I saw something kind of alluding to that before we went live, but I wasn't sure if it was true or not. Quarterback play at best was a D+, a Z for Z's. Yes, I would agree. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Even if we had Tom Brady, the quarterback is not at his top potential without a great offensive line. Absolutely. And I 100% agree there. It doesn't really matter who the quarterback is, who the offensive coordinator is, who your head coach is, because the offensive line has not performed all year. And that's just the simple facts of the matter on it. Their inadequacies have only been magnified because of the lack of support, not only at the offensive line, but the wide receiver side too. Russell, we're just getting started, buddy, so you haven't missed much here. We got a D, making the decision-making in pressure situations was not there. It's not there yet, all that kind of stuff. Dusty says F-. TJ has shown exactly who he is. He can't be our starter next season, or it's a 5-win year. Our schedule is even tougher in 2022. I wouldn't say it's a tougher schedule, and I also wouldn't say that he can't be the starter. Right now, he should be the starter because Demetrius Davis either hasn't been given the opportunity to on the field. I mean, that's pretty obvious, or he hasn't earned it in practice. And we've got to get past this idea that just because we think someone's better because they're sitting on the sideline doesn't mean it's true. I'm excited about the future of Demetrius Davis, but if he was ready, he'd be out there. There's a reason he's not playing. There's a reason he's not starting. So as of this moment, TJ Finley is the best you got. So you better get used to it, in my opinion. So as far as my grade, though, I would probably have to grade him out as it's a C- for me. It would, in a normal realm where he has support from his offensive line, better receiver support as well, he probably gets a D+ if he performs like that. But I'm kind of giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on this kind of stuff because he's just been thrown into some tough situations. Is it really hard to recruit offensive linemen? Auburn seems to have lacked in that area for a while. Couldn't AU just go over to Walmart and recruit some big old boys? Well, if it was that simple, we'd be doing it, right? Listen, I think, it doesn't matter if it's offensive line. It doesn't matter if it's cornerbacks. If it's kickers, we're recruiting. It's really about what you offer them at the time that you're offering them. And obviously what we have to offer offensive linemen hasn't been that appealing, or they would be here. Here's the thing is, and this is why I always stress here on this channel, and I know it annoys plenty of you to like no end. Rankings and stars don't matter. Auburn was pulling in the highly ranked stars, the 4-star offensive linemen, but they didn't pan out. Some people wanted to be quick to blame it on the development, and there may be some of that, yes. But sometimes they just were the wrong ones to bring in. And I think there was a period of time where we with a coach, with a Herb Hand, who was here. I think he was a great recruiter, but a poor coach. And it's the reason that Coach Malzahn got fired, ultimately because of the effects that kept building on top of that. That's why we are here to this day. There's just not a lot of appeal to come to Auburn as an offensive lineman outside of playing opportunity. So it's frustrating, but it's starting to kind of build a little bit. Got a good feeling about Holden Grenier playing a bit next year, probably mid or late year starter. Maybe, but Demetrius Davis is still out there. You don't know, right? I'm going to take whoever the coach puts out there and support them fully. Would it be nice to see if things aren't working, see something different? Yes, but the player has to earn it to be out there. And sometimes that's really, really frustrating. How long will it take the O-line to get the O-line up to adequate? Do we write off the 2022 season because the O-line won't be good enough? No, you should never write off the season because I went into this season believing that the offensive line would get it together, and they didn't. I think you should take, in terms of that area, you should take this year as a good sign because you've got two guys that are still, I think, trying to figure out if they're going to use that COVID year, Nick Brahms and Austin Troxell. I never pick on one group over the other, or one individual over the other. The groups, yes, but individuals in the offensive line. But I do, unfortunately, think, just being honest, that the ones that might have been less productive for us have moved off, and the more productive ones might be staying. We'll find out, right? So this is still going to be a transition year for the offensive line. And maybe this, with some new faces coming in and getting some others with playing time, it's going to start laying the foundation for the new offensive line structure at Auburn. With that being said, since we're talking a lot about it, let's go ahead and grade the offensive line. What say you? How would you grade them out? And I'll share mine as well. Carrie, it's a big overarching question. We'll kind of discuss some of that in and out as we get through some of these grades. But those are going to be more conversations we'll talk about probably on some other live streams in more depth. Auburn needs to offer an all-you-can-eat buffet to the offensive lineman. I think that would bring in the big boys. Well, they all got an NIL deal to Mike's Steakhouse. I think Big Mike's Steakhouse over there off of Wire Road and Shug Jordan Parkway. I think most of them, if not all of them, did. So if that's not going to do it, I don't know what will. Let's see here. Brock Vandergraaf, transfer at quarterback would be very interesting. Well, everybody's interesting when we're just sitting here speculating, but will it actually fix things? You never know. Is there any new info out there about the 2022 Auburn NIL subscription /program? What do you mean, Rob? Are you asking if there's going to be new things like allowed or if that's what you're asking, I have no clue. I would say that this is being a brand new thing. NIL is always going to be ever growing and changing. Who am I looking forward to on the offensive line, since we're talking about that? And please offer your grades if you haven't already. I would say that I'm excited to see Jaleel Irvin, I think is how you pronounce his name. I'm excited for Keandre Jones, who got the start this year, to be starting with new people to see how he really is. So those are the two names that are here that I'd be probably the most excited about. There's a lot of, Eston Harris, who's coming in next year. I think you won't see him a lot, but I view him as the foundation for the restart of Auburn's offensive line. When you get that hockey stuff ready, holla at your boy. Dusty, listen, this is, the other slogan here is this is where the Auburn family speaks. So if you want to do an Auburn hockey segment, I will give you the space to do it, sir. If you want to do an Auburn hockey podcast, this is the place for you, sir. Just let me know. Now, I may not have the time to dedicate fully to it myself with you, but if you want to jump on that, I am all for giving you a platform to do so, because I think everything Auburn deserves its day in the sun. All right, we got a D, we got a C, We got a C-, a D+, kind of skipping down here to C. D made me cuss. An F. I think we all agree we got a C-. I think we all agree that it probably wasn't the best game for the offensive line. Now, Tank Bigsby had a decent game. We'll get to him in just a second and the running backs, but I do want to say that, fairly productive day for him. 16 carries for 96 yards. Probably could have been utilized a little bit more. I know that's coming. We'll discuss that in a second. Looking for sacks and things like that, but I don't think that that's going to show up on my screen that I have right here. I should have pulled up a different stat structure thing to look at. But overall, I don't recall. Maybe this will do it right here. Nah, it's not going to do it for me. If anybody can find out how many sacks there were, that would be great to know. Here's what I remember from the offensive line performance. I saw the quarterback get hurried several times, sacked a couple of times. But they didn't, to me. Tank was like in beast mode for this game for a certain amount of time, and he seemed kind of back to his old self like he was in his freshman year. Didn't matter how bad the offensive line was, he was going to make something happen. So I think he kind of masked a little bit maybe the usual deficiencies we were seeing at that area. So for me, I'm just going to give them a C- because I think there's plenty of room for growth there, but it's kind of about the same thing as TJ. Didn't do enough to get the win, obviously, because we're sitting here talking about a 17-13 loss. Let's see. It's something we will definitely talk about soon then, about hockey. Love it. Love it. All right. I think the O-line improved during the season. However, it wasn't near enough. I can get on board with that line of thinking. I think they improved in some areas for pass blocking, but run blocking, no. I would even venture to say we regressed, and that may be a little bit in part because of Tank having some issues or things like that. But yeah, it was not good. All right, let's talk about running back grades. You can offer those in right now. Post those in the chat window. A, B, C, D, F. And that includes everybody in this. So try to account for all of that, not just Tank, but Jarquez Hunter. Anybody else who had a rushing attempt, try to factor all of that in together right now. Kyle, do you think Caleb Williams makes sense for Auburn? Not necessarily, in yes or no. I know that sounds non-committal. My point, it's just a rumor at this point. Basically, everybody gets excited when a quarterback jumps these days for Auburn, when a quarterback jumps into the transfer portal. It was the same thing for Spencer Rattler. It was the same thing for Kedon Slovis. So if he shows up at Auburn, I know that's probably not the, exciting answer for me, Gim. I'll start really looking at it seriously. But at this point, I'm happy working with who we have. TJ, Demetrius Davis, Holden Grenier. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if we pull somebody in, maybe not a starter, just to kind of fill out the quarterback room. All right, let's see here. We got a C. I think that was a C for the running backs. A B+, an A. We got a B. Got a running back A, running back A+. We got a B. I think that kind of rounds out most of the grades there. Corey. Sometimes this year that was the case, yes. Do you think Harsin gave Tank his word the O-line would improve in order for him to stay? It's an intriguing question, Rob, but how do you guarantee that? You can't. I mean, this is, you're changing over your offensive line. Now, you would think if it's been this bad, how much worse can it get? Just knocked on wood. But it can get worse. Believe me, it can get worse. I think personally, what happened is they went to him and said, look, we know that you're frustrated with the amount of carries you get with the new focus for us on offense. Bobo out of the picture now. That's going to be I don't think it really has anything to do with the offensive line. They probably said, look, if you were frustrated with the offensive line performance, most of those guys are leaving. So it's going to be like a fresh start for you. I think that's probably more what they sold him on. Could have been an A, but they let Shanker run the ball near the goal line. Well, they haven't been very successful in short yardage situations at all, so might as well let everybody do. Big Stem. Sorry you're not feeling well tonight, buddy. I hope you're Hope you're feeling better. I know everybody's got the crud going around other than just the obvious stuff, but it is that time of year. I think Austin Davis can find TJ's mistakes coachable. Y'all think Austin could fix TJ? No, I don't think that Austin's just going to come right in and fix somebody. Just because he is an NFL quarterback coach doesn't mean that he's got some magic touch. Now, I could be wrong, and listen, y'all can screenshot this right here and say, oh, you were wrong, Kyle, and I'd be happy to be wrong. I'm not looking for magical fixes next year, and I hope that when you hear me say these type of things, it's not me trying to be Debbie Downer, but it's just trying to be realistic of what's happened here. We went through a major overhaul of the football program, one that I didn't want to do, but we're here. And so it's going to take some time to restart and do things more than just a season. Doesn't mean that next season won't be fun and more successful. It's not hard to do that than this year, but it's going to take some time. Let's see here. Would give the running backs an A, but Tank's illegal alignment late knocked it down for me. Although I think Tank was great otherwise. Kicked off his 22 Heisman run with the performance despite the L. I wouldn't call this performance Heisman worthy, but maybe a kickoff to it. He definitely showed flashes of the Tank that we all knew was there in this game, and that's what I really, really loved. Linda says that I don't think TJ's mobility issue can be fixed. I think it can be fixed, but he's a different type of quarterback. When you're that size, it's very rare to be able to move the way most other quarterbacks. Cam Newton was just a freak of nature, and we were a little spoiled by him, so we expect every big quarterback to be just like him, and that's not TJ's motive. TJ stands in the pocket, and he can take it for the most part, but when your pocket collapses much quicker than others, no matter how big you are, you're going to come down. I hope that he does run wild, though. All right, let's see here. I give the refs an A+ for giving us all the targeting this year. Yes, they if there was a paycheck to be handed out, they definitely got it. All right, so we've done that. Let's do wide receivers real quick so we can round out the offensive side of the ball. I'll give you guys some stats, but offer your grades right now if you can. But let's look at how the receiving broke down. Interesting thing to point out here once we get done with these. Tank Bigsby with 5 catches for 68 yards. Kobe Hudson, if he's gone, we'll find out. 4 catches for 57 yards. John Samuel Shanker, 5 catches with 54 yards. And then you had Javaris Johnson with 1, Demetrius Robertson with 2, and Shed Jackson with 2. Ball was definitely not spread out as much as it normally is, but it is, I would call this game about maybe average with what we expected. There were still drops. There were still some issues, I think, with some alignment at times. John Samuel Shanker was the bright spot in this. Kobe Hudson had some good moments. Tank was utilized. Yeah, 2 things I want to notice here, but I do need to give a shout out because we've got David. David, you're the bomb, man. Thank you so much for your generosity. As always, he's one of our Booster Club members and channel members here. You are too kind, sir. And I don't deserve your generosity, but thank you so much. All right, we've got our first caller in tonight. You know him. You love him. Mr. Dusty, what is up, sir?
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So what, 3 days into it? How you feeling with 3 days into the new year? Any better?
Man, we have a offensive lineman commit, and me and you don't care about numbers and all that, but apparently he's the #1 center. So
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah, come on, buddy.
Interesting thing to, because I noticed when I'm reading about the guy, and I try to go to all these different sites to get different perspectives, nobody can agree on measurables for one thing about how tall or how big he actually is. No one can also agree if he should be a 4 or 3 star, and no one can agree whether he is actually a center or just being called an interior lineman. But I think the sexy headline is he is a center. And I think it makes sense for me because, if you look at what Auburn's losing, I think Irvin is the center to be if Brahms leaves. So we would be in need of someone to fill that role to begin to grow and learn. So I think he'll be a center. Do you think there's an opportunity for him to be something else here? Or do you think that center is where he's going to be?
It's just, it's such a patchwork thing down there. And I literally got up and danced like we won a game when I saw it.
Yeah.
Just it just finally, man, just finally, and like hopefully it gets the ball rolling. And me and you've talked. I believe in Easton. I think he's gonna be hopefully he's a young building block. So that's let's say that's two guys. I know the kids still got to play. The commit still got a whole another senior year to play.
Yeah.
It's gonna take time though. Like for that, it's not an overnight fix with that, but like that's great, man. That's a good start. And then I just the thing that I've talked about my trust in Harsin is in his character judgment with these guys. I don't think he's going to bring in because he pulled the offer to a 4-star O tackle, a guy that we needed that was having great visits or whatever. But obviously, he saw something character wise. He pulled it. He didn't think he was the right fit for Auburn.
Right.
He's going to bring in guys that want to be a part of it, and it's just going to take a little bit of time, man.
It
And
is.
I'm as frustrated as everybody else when we blow these close games. And I was at work at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, and then for a bowl game, I was listening to it in my earpiece, and my boss yelling at me and my other. Everyone's looking at me like a crazy guy. I'm out here, throwing tools and stuff. Like, what's going on? Just another drop pass. Um, but it's man, that part really excites me. Obviously, basketball, we're gonna be in it at the very end. We'll just see if we have to play against the refs all season.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what we're used to, right? So it's just
it's become part of it. That's why Auburn basketball is the villain.
we are conditioned to it and we're used to it. I want to know. I don't know. I couldn't see if you posted your grade for wide receivers before you got on here, but what was your grade for wide receivers?
I'll gotta be honest, man. I listened to it on the radio, and I went back and watched a little bit of it, and I just, like I'm glad it's over. So I didn't like delve too much into it. Like it's basketball for me,
It's like
and
an
then just
NA,
how
did
much.
not complete.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't really, like for Samuel Shanker, that shout
Yeah.
out for getting that record and everything. And I've been seeing for for a couple weeks that he's leaning towards coming back. So that's
It's a
great.
great sign.
And then you know, as far as this Kobe Hudson deal, it's true.
It is true.
Before
He's
I saw
posted
that,
it.
yeah, I looked everywhere. It's everywhere. Um, the last sentence of his post was, "Harson's from the north, and I'm from the south. He don't understand me."
Okay.
You're right. So I've been fair, like with all these kids. With every single time, me and you've talked. I've said, "Hey, look, I'm not there. This ain't that's them. That's their life. I can't judge their life. They have to make their own decisions." Um, Kobe Hudson's very talented, and but dude, don't act like you weren't at fault. Don't act like there weren't reasons why. You know, there were issues with your play as well, and
Mhm.
it's one of the things where it sucks that like you lose the talent or whatever, but there I'm not even knocking Gus. It just appears to me like that we had some guys in the locker room that weren't about Auburn.
Mhm.
And Bryan Harsin looks like he's going to do it his way, and he's going to
Right.
clean house. And some of these guys aren't going to like it. Even the
Yeah.
quote legacy players that I don't know, but did he really sit down with his dad with Bryan Harsin and all that? Like, who knows how all that went? Harson's not having any of that, man. Like if
Right.
he loses at this job, he's going to lose doing it the Bryan Harsin way. So that's just the kind of way I see all that. And for Kobe to say that, it's
Yeah.
come on, man.
It's
And then
frustrating.
yeah, it is. And like Corey was saying with the stuff with the Bucks, look what Antonio Brown did yesterday, right?
Oh, dude,
Just
don't
know,
even get me
yeah.
started on that. Don't even get me started on that.
Trust me, brother. Listen, it was 24-10. The Jets are winning 24-10 when he did that. You saw how the game ended. Now Antonio Brown's great. He's great. It's going to hurt us now that Godwin's out, and now that he's out for the season, it's probably ruined the Super Bowl chances or whatever. But look what happened. It was 24-10 at that point, and I think the Jets may have got another first down, and Tom Brady was unstoppable after that. The guy that caught the game-winning touchdown didn't even play football at LSU. He ran track.
Right.
Like it's a mindset thing, man. So it sucks to lose guys that are talented like Kobe Hudson, but just in that post, you see what it is. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't appear like that it's there. Give me those DeMar Austin guys. Give me these Guiner guys. These guys that seem like they really want to be here. And I just trust Harsin on the character aspect of it.
I
And I
agree.
think that let's be patient, guys. The victories aren't going to come like that. Next year's not going to be great. He's a culture builder guy, and let's give this character stuff a chance because he's gonna get talent too. These are still
Right.
talented guys.
Yep. And the thing too is you talked about, transitions. It's not that, there was anything wrong with the way Malzahn wanted things done, but it's still a change. Things are done differently, and that's not going to mesh well with some people. And it's sometimes, pressure brings out, it either reveals what is good or it reveals what you have bad in you. And I'm not saying that, Kobe Hudson's got bad in him, but I am saying that I think it has revealed that a little bit of adversity he wasn't willing to put up with what the changes now are. And, that's fine for him, but that's not something that we can be worrying about and having to deal with when we've got other issues. We got plenty of other things we've got to address. We can't be worried about someone who's concerned about differences between North and South and all that kind of stuff. So if that's that big of a deal, I say let him. I wish you the best and hope that you can figure this thing out. If you decide to have a change of heart and you can work it out with Harsin, I don't know that you can at this point. Then
pretty wild.
listen, Harsin would be a bigger man at this point than I would ever be after something like that. So the biggest thing with social media is it's always there. Or someone saved a screenshot and will use it against you later.
Yeah, it's there. Go
Trust me,
find it.
I know. So, you know what I'm talking about.
Hey,
Anyway,
man, listen.
it's all in
Hey,
good fun. All in
it's
good
all
fun.
good.
All right. Well, here, really quick, let me say, hey, thank you to David again. Thank you, sir, again for your generosity. You are a awesome person. All right, listen. Let's try to round out the offense real quick while I have you here. I would say most people. What did they say here? I'm trying to catch back up and chat a little bit. I didn't see too many favorable things outside of Shanker. We got a B here, a C there. I think pretty much for the offense, and see if you agree with me or disagree at all. You could probably just give them almost like a C minus across the board. It's kind of what we gave TJ, or I was giving TJ. Same thing with the offensive line. Running backs probably brings it up a little bit because of Tank's performance. Wide receivers, there were drops again, but it just wasn't enough to get the job done. And an average Auburn offense these days, with the way that our defense is hot and cold at times, is just not enough to get the job done. So do you have any other thoughts on that, or just kind of trying to close the door on the offense for this game?
Red zone.
There you
Somebody's
go.
got to step up in the red zone.
There you go. I love it. Yes. Part of that is offensive line. And, they do other things in the red zone besides run the ball. And they've been a little bit better at times than pass blocking. But the story of this Auburn football team for me is not that whether they were good or bad. It was whether they could finish or not. And they couldn't finish. And that's really what it is. That's all it is. It's just you can't go down to the red zone that many times and not even come away with field goals. One of the biggest things people would not guss about is all he'd go down and get field goals. I'll take field goals at this moment, I'll trade some fade routes in the end zone for some field goals any day of the week. Thomas
Hey, shout
says,
out to that backup kicker. He stepped up.
Ben Patton, you are a man, sir.
Yeah, Ben Patton.
I joined our
Huge kick in the iron
podcast.
ball.
What's that?
I said a huge kick in the iron ball. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. I mean, imagine that. Your first kick is big kick is in the Iron Bowl, and you've got to make this. Your team's actually in the game, and you do that. So since you brought it up, let's just grade the special teams really quick, because usually that kind of gets thrown in at the end there. I look at Ben Patton and solid, makes all his kicks, makes his extra points, and one was, a decent distance. It wasn't like super long, but just for a backup kicker, it was pretty good. We had no penalties on kickoff returns. There were no punt returns, which is a big thing for us. I think that was the first of the year, to be honest with you, because I remember looking back and I was like, hold on. every time we look at a kickoff, is there a flag? Is there? Because I was there. I'm looking like I've got binoculars out looking across the field. No flags. What's going on? So for me, special teams gets a flat out A. I mean, what do you think?
If all that's true, like I said, I really I was just listening to it. I was listening to Andy and the boys.
Right.
You know, no penalties on the kickoffs or whatever. That's
That's
great.
big.
Weren't there some bad punts?
Let's see. Let me get his average for you. I think his average, if there was, I remember one bad like punt that I thought was bad, but it was a bounce, like it bounced back against us as opposed to where it landed. So I think that kind of makes it look a little bit worse. He had 6 punts for 230 yards. That's a 48 long that he have, and it doesn't have the average listed here for me. So if I'm doing quick math in my head, that's probably a little bit shorter average than he typically had. So it wasn't terrible, and he was far from the, the problem in the game.
For sure.
But I think personally, whereas we've had the special teams be super hot or sometimes super not with backups in there galore, they did a great job.
I would just say this maybe as an overall thing for special teams. We always right now, unless something drastic changes, we know that we're gonna have a great defense next year, and that the offense is probably gonna struggle. Those special teams next year have got to improve, step up, make big plays, and at the very least, not put us in these holes.
Yes, absolutely. So, that's the thing is when you've got one part of your scheme struggling, you can't really have any, mess ups in the others because if it does, it starts compounding and then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's what happened at times here for Auburn. You want to stay on for defense or what you want?
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
All right, let's do it. Let's do some defense here. All right, let's do defensive line. How would you grade out the defensive line? And everybody else can share in the chat what they think.
How many sacks did they finish with?
It's not listed. I have the ESPNs, and they don't do a good job. I should have known better than to pull theirs up. I remember like 2, maybe.
I mean, considering the bodies, just how how thin we were, and look, we held them to 17 points. Like, we'll go with a B plus, and then for the whole, that's kind of what I would give them for the whole year too. Would be about a B plus.
Yeah.
It seems like the scheme is tightened up a little bit, and I like that.
I think they've given the defensive line more freedom, and I think they're loving that. And I think that's why you're seeing Derek Hall, Colby Wooden. I think it's why you're seeing Owen Papo is, he's working for an NFL better positioning with his injury issues and all that kind of stuff, obviously. But if he doesn't think he's going to get support to open up holes for him to make plays, he's not coming back. So I think that goes to show you that there's a bright future for that defensive line. And in this game, let's see. I remember Iku Leota had a really big play. I feel like Iku Leota all year has had like that one big play every game, and it's like a huge one, like on 3rd down, because then you see him doing some kind of just like dance out there. So I love him. Trying to see who is our leading tackle. Colby Wooden had 4 tackles. For me, it's probably going to be in like the B range, just because it was good enough, but could have been better, as most things could have been this entire year for Auburn. Real quick question about special teams. Carrie asks, Kyle, do you think Anders Carlson, I always try to say Anders Carlson will come back, or Evan McPherson, the new guy, will be the starter? I talked about this in this video this week, but I'll share it here. I think there's benefit for Anders to come back. However, if he doesn't, I'm not upset, because have you seen Evan McPherson? The dude's like almost making 70-yard field goals. That's ridiculous. That's not humanly possible. Like, I was a kicker. Look, and I was not known for my distance, but I look at how much effort I had to put into making my first 50-yard field goal, and to add 20 on top of that, your technique's got to be solid, but your leg streak's got to be outstanding. So I'm not upset. I'm upset that we don't have a Carlson anymore, because that doesn't feel right to me, like not having a Carlson as part of the team.
Yeah, no, I get it. A decade of it almost.
And shout out to Daniel. Daniel's like an ice cold killer in the NFL now. What happened to him? I mean, you're an NFL guy. Like what just kind of sparked in him to become a killer all of a sudden?
Well, I mean, in the NFL, like the year the Lions went 0-16, I want to say their average loss was like less than a touchdown.
Mhm.
That's just the way, and the different team wins every year. It's just it's not like Bama, Georgia, Ohio State on a repeat like we got going on.
Mhm.
There's parity there. It keeps the game tight, and so all the games are close, and he's just getting the opportunities. And Auburn Twitter, like usual, is letting the Minnesota Vikings know about it because he had 2 bad games from Minnesota, and they cut him.
Mm. And look at the Minnesota Vikings right now, right? Struggling. I watched their game with the Packers last night, and it's miserable to lose a game anywhere, but it's miserable to lose a game when it's like single digits up in Lambeau Field. That must have been like the worst possible thing ever.
Yeah, I'm a
Just
Florida
awful.
boy. I couldn't imagine.
Oh, look, I'm an Alabama guy. We basically are the same thing minus just a
Yeah.
slight amount of humidity. We got was it tonight's 20s, and I'm like dying in here. So
Yeah, I got a hoodie on. I'm inside.
I see you. I was like, he's like cold in there, buddy. All right. Let's talk about linebackers. Obviously, the big news: Owen Papo coming back, which is huge. I think sometimes you feel you don't want to wait too much by one performance, good or bad, on when you're grading out a unit. But Chandler Wooten, my goodness, son, had a game again. He's just done nothing but stepped up every single time. Owen Pepo has been out. Zachaby McClain had to sit out a couple of quarters because of targeting and stuff like that. Or I think he had maybe a slight injury once or twice this year. But
He
12
literally
tackles.
stopped the dude from scoring a touchdown versus Penn State.
It's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to let him like go into the end zone untouched? I mean,
And then the
legitimately.
whole college football world thought it was crazy, and nothing changed.
It was just crazy, crazy. All right, everybody else grade linebackers right now. I'm going to say this one gets an A for me, and I'm probably being just a little bit biased here because Chandler Wooten, it was so nice to see him go out the way he did. He got a quarterback hurry, 7 solo tackles. He gets an interception, a crazy interception, a great athletic play on the sideline. Did you go back and watch that one?
No, I watched like highlights. I just didn't
Okay.
watch like the full game.
Yeah. That was amazing because it happened on my side. I was at the game, happened on my sideline. And so I saw him go up, like reach up for the ball, and then it's just behind the Auburn players, and I can't see what happens. And then you see like impact on the ground, and then the Auburn players just start jumping up and hooping and hollering and stuff. I'm like, there's no way he made that play. What a way to end your time at Auburn. It couldn't have happened for a better guy who's just stepped up every single time this season when we've needed someone at linebacker. So Steiner was the second leading tackler with 6 tackles. Cam Riley with 5. So Steiner and Riley are going to be somebody you see cycling in with Owen Pepo this season. So that was your first early look at that. So when I look at them, I don't see too many issues in this game. Maybe a little few things here and there at times. I'm going to probably give them about like an A minus, but I'm being a little bit biased towards Chandler Wooten. Any other thoughts on linebackers from this game?
It's a tough scheme, like the air raid and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
my understanding is they run it a little bit more than an air raid kind of team. They have like a run with the running quarterback and everything. So it's definitely something different. We didn't fare well versus it at all versus Mississippi State. So they definitely did a better job versus that kind of scheme this time. So yeah, I'd give them a B plus or an A. And like you said, McClain's not in there, but Poe hasn't been in there. I think the future is really bright at that spot. There's a lot of young talent there.
It is. Defensive backs. Here's the big one, because the big thing is you're not having your first round draft pick contributing at all because he's decided to sit out. Right or wrong, whatever your feelings on him, being out, he's not there. And so you go from having the notion of an opposing quarterback knowing I can't throw over that way because that's Roger Mccreery Island. Now everything's open, and we've seen how defensive backs, specifically cornerbacks, have struggled at times outside of maybe Jalen Simpson, who's had some pretty good moments. It's wide open. And when I look at this game, like you said, an air raid type of offense, you would think we would have gotten torched again the way we did against Mississippi State, held them to 7, really held them to the 10 points. Because I don't think that touchdown get scored if some certain things happen differently, penalty wise, decision making wise. I think overall they did a pretty decent job missing some key pieces and losing Smoke Monday of putting together a pretty overall solid defensive back game. Everybody else can grade now if they'd like to. I'm just going to give them probably like a B plus because there's still so much of a hill to climb up. Any other thoughts on defensive backs in this game?
I'm gonna give them an A minus, and then I think that for a lot of the reasons you said, you've got different guys in there. Again, I feel like the future's bright at that position. Either Osbury or Rhyme are going to be guys that I feel like one of them is going to hit um, and become a good player. That's just not a position I'm worried about in the future. I think they played great versus a system that, like I said, beat them up earlier. Shout out to Smoke Monday. I love you, dude. Like, you gave everything for Auburn. If you played 10 to 15 years ago, you'd be an All-American, man.
No issues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a different game. Like, you remind me so much of a Junior Rose Green kind of guy, and
Yes.
I just really, really appreciate Smoke. He played his butt off for Auburn. He never transferred or anything like that, and he played on a lot of great defenses that where if he just had a competent offense, he would have won so many more games. So, and he clearly came into this game with energy. And then that was awesome seeing him get the love for the crowd that he deserved. And, love you, Smoke. Wiggle, buddy.
Did you get a good look at that? He had 2 targeting calls against him,
Yeah,
one
I saw
overturned.
that, yeah.
Was it targeting?
See the big Auburn picture behind me, buddy?
Yeah. It's like, you know what I'm going to say. I looked at it
By
several
today's
ways.
rules, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. See, and maybe it's just me being in the stadium, and I had the big giant screen they had, and I looked at it several times, looked at it, and I'm like, I know that's how the rule, like, I know by the letter of the law, that's how it's supposed to be ruled. But at the same time, come on, like, just and these are the moments that it sucks the most because you just ended a guy's career. Like, that's
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
It's this, and thankfully they changed it where they don't have to leave and he could stay on the sideline and just be crazy the entire time like he was doing. He was in the. I was thankful he was on my
Sunglasses.
side. He just running up and down. He came over to like our section, just throwing his towel up. I think they've got the little markers there where they can only go past, but he came running past that. He's like, "What are you going to do to me now? Right? You kicked me out of the game. My career's over. I don't care at this point."
Yeah.
I think he handled it about as well as you could have in that moment. Because if that's me, I'm like got my head hanging down there. I'm pissed off. They probably can't console me at that point, but he loves to play football. And like you said, if he plays alongside Junior Rose Green, they're popping heads together. It's just they are literally the headhunters together. I just really wish that it hadn't ended the way it did in this game. But overall, so defensively, I think we can probably chalk this thing up to a pretty solid defensive performance. Probably B plus and maybe even an A minus for me. Like I said, it wasn't my grievances with the defense in this one are very few, but it obviously wasn't a perfect performance at all for them. I do want to ask you though, maybe I'll have the last question for you here. What'd you think about Dana Holgerson's comments after the game, complaining about how long it took Coach Harsin to get done with his press conference and stuff like that? Any thoughts or words for Mr. Holgerson?
I think you're setting me up. I think you know me good.
I'm setting you up, but behave yourself.
I think you're starting to figure me out.
I do.
And by the way, we will talk about that hockey podcast, man.
I love it.
Hey, look, dude, he does have a point. Like, they won the game, and if I was setting up the Birmingham Bowl, I would have the winner speak first. They may have a logistical reason as to why that wasn't the case. However, man, like, just be careful poking this bear. Do what LSU did. Say, "Oh boy," post a
Mhm.
score,
Yep.
and then take it. That's how
Yep.
you do it. And they beat us, so not like they had to take anything, but just there's just understand what this Auburn fan base is. Like Virginia double dribbled. There's been stuff that has happened as far as Pat 40 and all these guys. You brought it up a couple podcasts ago with Thayer Evans. Like there's been a long history that's starting to build up and of just we're just kind of over it. I feel like so. Just be careful, Dana Holgerson. Like if we meet you again down the road with Bryan Harsin as the coach, and he's got his guys in there, and it's just a little bit of a different situation, and you're worried about the time, 20 minutes, like the
It's
guy
very
needs
petty.
he needs some perspective. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and come on, Dana Holgerson.
Here's my thing. It also lacks understanding. You're Houston in Alabama with Auburn. The bigger
It's a
story.
good point.
The bigger story is Auburn losing than you winning the game, and you need to understand that. Now, if this is the Texas Bowl and that happens, you're still Auburn's the bigger school than you. It's the more prominent school than you, but I would probably say you might have a little bit of a grievance there. But what you said earlier, I think, is true. Winners should go first, or even do you even need to have something out there in the public press conference wise for the losers? Do it in the locker rooms like they typically. I don't know. It's petty. It shouldn't have been a story. But Dana Holgerson's an interesting guy, and I went to the pep rally Friday night because I think most of y'all seen it. I posted it up there.
Yeah.
When he walked up on stage, I was like, "That's Dana Holgerson." Like I remember seeing Dana Holgerson at West Virginia. I'm like, "What happened to him?" You know. So there's
Good
my
stress.
parting shot for Dan. Stress, other things.
Okay.
But anyway, hey man, thanks for talking with me for so long tonight.
Oh, no problem. Anytime, buddy. War Eagle,
I
man.
appreciate you. War Eagle, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right. That was Mr. Dusty. Got a good call in from him. All right. We've gotten through the breakdown in grades here. I know a lot of you were asking some, kind of somewhat related questions that really didn't fit into the flow there. So if you want to ask some of those again, I'll try to get to some of those here. We're not going away just this minute, but we'll kind of start wrapping up our time in just a little bit here. But go ahead and get some of those in, and maybe we can do some of that. Do I know Dusty? Well, I know Dusty now. Dusty started following this channel and has become a pretty good, I'd say more than a pretty good follower and supporter of all this stuff. He's in the Booster Club. He's a channel member. So we've gotten to know each other, not in person, but over this stuff, as many of you have. And I hope that continues for as many of you as I can. The bigger we get, the harder it becomes to answer every question, to respond to everything. But I promise you that I and everybody else will do what I can. Romello height question. All right. Well, I remember seeing this one from you, Carrie. Let's go back and look at what his stats were in this game. One tackle, and that was a solo one. And then he had two, what's that, quarterback queries on here. I'm looking at ESPN. So again, I should have picked the better ones. I don't remember a lot from Romello height in this game that stuck out to me. So unfortunately, this is going to be just one of those non-answer types. I think that he was very highly favored when he got here. To see him get more time, whether that's because people were out in this game or not, I think still to get time in any scenario shows that you've been working towards something. That's something you should be very, very excited for. Where did you buy your microphone? Actually, this one I bought off Amazon. That's usually where most people get them. You can get them in stores too, but usually better ones on Amazon. This is the Shure. Used to have the model number on it, but Shure is a really good. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I really love Shure. I have an ATR 2500 that I use for like my Rode mic because it's older and I don't care if something mess ups with it. But I also have an over the headset mic in case. It's like the most cheapest not gaming thing that you could ever get that I got. Like it was my first thing other than talking into the computer. Been doing this for quite some time. David, no, you don't take too much of my time, buddy. I'm just sorry I can't get to you as quick. So that's one of the benefits of being in the Booster Club is that we have like a messaging app in there that we can kind of talk back and forth with each other. And obviously, as my time allows, I'll obviously catch up with you guys and talk about even other things outside of Auburn stuff. That's one of the benefits of being over there. Underrated said Hudson removed from the team. So this kind of was all happening as we started and as we were kind of getting going here. I saw the rumors circulating the initial post, and I wasn't sure if that was legit or not. So looks like he's gone. And whether it was removed, I haven't seen anything official yet. So he's gone. That's all I know. You know? The Shure SM7B is a great mic. Used one many times to record. I think that is the one this is. It was the next step for me above the Audio Technica ATR 2500, which is a good mic. This one's a little bit clearer, crisper to me. And I think I did some recent videos where you can probably hear I think somebody even commented, I got to respond to them. Is that Kyle? It sounds different. You can see how different that one makes me sound. AU getting this national title in basketball this year. Sure feels like it, doesn't it? I know we've been talking about doing some more. Oh, that was the housekeeping thing we needed to do real quick. Do you guys want me to go live tomorrow after the game? Yes or no? The game, I think, starts at, well, I guess I could pull my calendar up here to see it officially. The game starts at 6:30, which means it'd be done by 8:30, which means we could probably go live as soon as it's start like 8:45 or something like that Eastern time. If you guys would like a live stream tomorrow night, fan reaction show that we do like after football games, and typically then we can accommodate. I have the time to do that. And we've been talking a lot about trying to do something similar to this with basketball, and the schedule just hasn't worked out exactly that yet. But it might be beneficial to do some of those as we can. So it looks like we got a lot of yeses. So seems like that. Don't make it live tomorrow. I don't really talk a lot of basketball, but I say don't make it live tomorrow. Well, we'll think about it, and I think we could probably do it. No, wait till Wednesday. Well, we're gonna go Wednesday live regardless. Don't worry about that. Remember, Wednesday night is fair game. Everything gets talked about. So if you think that's going to take the place of the Wednesday nights, I think that's the one thing that you can always count on here, even though schedules change, content changes a little bit. Wednesday night is mainly about you guys. And during football season, it's about previewing the next game, but anything's really fair game. Always go live. Well, then I wouldn't have any privacy. You don't want to jinx that national title. David, I would say this, that the national title jinxing for Auburn is kind of countered by the amount of talent they have. Now, I'm knocking on wood saying that because of the sheer, unluckiness that Auburn has sometimes, and that would be like in the form of the injury bug and things like that. But I would say that the talent that we have, a lot of things bad can happen to us, and we'd still be fine. If you go live Wednesday, take a break. I'm trying to get into this habit of giving you guys some edited videos regularly. They're not always Sunday through Thursday, but usually that way. And then, a couple of live streams. And I try to do less on the weekends and stuff, unless it's warranted, breaking news and stuff like that. And that's kind of when I take my breaks and stuff like that. But I enjoy doing this stuff. Kyle, you're going to break down film in the off season. I've tried to do some of those things. I've put the highlight video up with basketball. Recently tried one of that. The video did fine. I always have to balance what's worth the time for the response and all that kind of stuff. No, I won't say no to something. The trick is when you put film up, usually it gets, and I'll pull the curtain back for you guys. It gets marked as you can't monetize because it's other content and stuff like that you're utilizing. It's really tricky stuff. So I will do some of that kind of thing, but you always can't make it all about that, because then you get marks against your account and all that stuff that would bore all of you guys. Kyle, do you like Will Friend as the O-line coach? In one season, I didn't really see his coaching make much of a difference, but I don't really think that he had the time to make a difference yet. I think you'll see some movement that direction in terms of making a choice during this next season, because He will have cycled out some guys, inserted some new ones, had time to pull off some recruiting things, which it seems to be already happening. I think even after this year, you're still going to need some more time from it. I know that seems to be a common, recurring thing with me, like just wait, patience. I like to think of myself as a very patient person. I'm not always that way, but I think I like to think of myself that way. But Will Friend, I think in about 3 years, you'll know whether we're trending in the right direction or not. I think that's just how bad we have been at the offensive line position forever. You like to hear a post game after the basketball, right? Well, you can always go listen to them and then come back and listen to that if we go live. This is, I want to stress this here as I get the opportunity to, that I try to do all this stuff that you guys want to watch. So if some of y'all want to watch it, we'll give it a try for a little while, and then if it doesn't appeal to everybody or the masses, we'll try something new. So this is a network and a channel built by fans for fans. So that's kind of why we're always kind of adjusting things like that. Great thought there, Larry. Thank you so much for your kind words. Have a room full of true Auburn people. Hope everyone has a great 2022. Tell me your grade for Roger Mccreery this season. A+. No question. Don't even have to hesitate. A+, 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 A+. Dude's a beast. He is the best cornerback in college football, and I will argue that guy at Cincinnati is good, but he's the best option that you have to prove. And the fact that the guy from LSU is going to get drafted higher than him probably is just a travesty. Roger's been doing it without injuries for the most part for 4 years, and these other guys have either been out with injuries or haven't done it as long. So Roger Mccreery is the best one in the league. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it up right in there. You guys, thank you so much. Very lively chat tonight. Great to hear from Dusty. Stay tuned. We may go live tomorrow night after the game if everything works out. But if you can't be there tomorrow night, we will go live Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be here. Do not miss it. We're going to have some fun, just open discussion. Probably won't be a really big agenda outside of maybe a news story breaking or things like that. It's always fair game and open calls where you can call into the show. Thank you guys so much. War Eagle, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.